My siblings chose mom's lies over me. I was erased. I'm Harper Monroe. I'm 36 years old, divorced for 4 years now, and I spent 2 decades believing a lie. My mom disappeared every Thursday at 2 p.m. sharp. 20 years, every single week. Didn't matter if it was snowing, holidays, or her birthday. She'd grab her purse, kiss my cheek, and say the exact same thing, just handling some financial planning, sweetheart. Everything's fine. I never questioned it. Why would I? After Dad passed from illness when I was in college, Mom became our rock. She kept everything together. Those Thursday trips, they were sacred, untouchable. She'd return 4 hours later looking drained but wearing that small, reassuring smile. After my divorce, I moved back to the neighborhood to be closer. The Thursday routine never changed, until the day that shattered everything. I was at work when my phone rang. It was Ethan, my younger brother. Something in his voice made my blood run cold. Harper, get to General Hospital. Now. Mom collapsed. By the time I burst through those emergency doors, she was gone, massive stroke. The doctor said it happened instantly. 3 days after we buried her, I stood alone in her bedroom, staring at an old safe behind her winter coats. Years ago, she'd told me the combination was my birthday. Because you're the one I trust most, Harper. My hands trembled as I entered the numbers. Inside was a thick envelope with my name printed on it, a small key taped to the paper, and one handwritten note from Mom. Only open when I'm gone. Please forgive me. That's when I knew. Those 20 years of Thursday bank trips had nothing to do with securing our future. If someone in your family kept weekly secrets that only surfaced after they died, drop your city in the comments. Hit subscribe, because what I discovered in that safety deposit box destroyed every memory I had of the woman who raised me. A plain envelope from First National Bank appeared in my mailbox while I was sorting condolence cards. No return address, just my name typed on the front. I tore it open right there on the porch. Inside was a letter from the branch manager. Condolences for Mom's passing. I was listed as secondary holder on safety deposit box 3D12. Annual fee paid through year's end. I could access it anytime with proper ID and the key. I stared at that letter forever. Mom never mentioned a safety deposit box. Not once in 20 years. The key from her bedroom safe suddenly made perfect sense. I called immediately. The woman confirmed everything, asked when I'd like to come in. Tomorrow morning, I said. That night, sleep didn't come. The house felt wrong without Mom's TV murmuring from the living room. I kept replaying every Thursday in my mind, trying to connect the dots. By morning, I dressed in jeans and a sweater, armor for whatever was coming. The branch sat on Mason Street, 15 minutes from home. I parked, breathed deep, and walked inside. A manager named Mrs. Chen greeted me, offered sympathies, and led me downstairs to the vault. Metal doors lined the walls. She inserted the bank's key while I slid in mine. The drawer scraped open. She left me alone in a small viewing room. I lifted the lid. My stomach turned. Folders, dozens of them. First one, home equity. Inside were loan documents. 3 separate home equity lines against our house over 12 years. Each one refinancing the last to pull out more cash. All Mom's signatures. Combined total, 385,000. More than the house was worth. Second folder was worse. Brokerage statements dating back years. Pages of stock purchases in companies I'd never heard of. Margin calls. Liquidation notices. Final balance under 2,000. I kept flipping. Credit reports showing inquiries I didn't recognize. A folder marked investments, filled with failed ventures. Tech startups, penny stocks, cryptocurrency wallets that crashed to zero. Mom had been chasing bigger returns to cover growing debt. Every move sank her deeper. No retirement savings. No secure future. Just our family checking account statements at the bottom. Balances dwindling to almost nothing as automatic payments serviced hidden debt. I sat there over an hour, photographing every page with shaking hands. When I finally closed the box and walked out, Mrs. Chen asked if everything was okay. I nodded. Thanked her. The drive home blurred. Ethan and Sophia were already at the house when I pulled in. They decided to start sorting Mom's belongings. Cardboard boxes lined the hallway. I set my purse down and spread the photos across the kitchen table. The same table where we'd eaten thousands of meals together. We need to talk, I said quietly. Sophia looked up first. Ethan glanced over from the doorway. I laid out the pictures one by one. Refinance agreements, brokerage losses, Empty account summaries. This is what was in Mom's safety deposit box, I explained, keeping my voice steady. The house has been refinanced 3 times. There are hundreds of thousands in loans. The investments she made, everything's gone. Sophia's eyes widened as she picked up a loan document. Ethan stepped closer, scanning quickly. His face hardened. This can't be right, he said immediately. Mom would never do something like this without telling us. She did, I replied, showing him the signature pages. It's all in her name. She handled it alone for years. Ethan shook his head, pushing photos away. You're reading this wrong, Harper. Mom was careful with money. She always said she was building something for us. That's what she told us, I said. But look at the dates. This started right after Dad died. It just kept growing. Sophia stayed silent, staring at the table. Ethan crossed his arms. You've always been different, Harper. You moved away, got married, barely came around when Mom needed help. Maybe she had to work harder because you weren't here. The words hit like a slap. This isn't about me being here, I said. This is about the house possibly going into foreclosure. Ethan's voice rose. You're jealous because Mom trusted me and Sophia more. Now she's gone and you show up with these papers trying to tear her down. You want to prove she wasn't perfect. I'm not trying to prove anything, I answered, heat rising in my cheeks. I'm showing you facts. We're all in this. Sophia finally spoke, voice small. Maybe there's an explanation. Mom wouldn't leave us with nothing. Ethan nodded firmly. Exactly. You're twisting this because you've always felt left out. Mom loved all of us, but you made your choices. Don't drag her name through the mud now that she can't defend herself. I gathered the photos back. The kitchen suddenly felt suffocating. I'm not twisting anything, I said. These are facts. We need to figure out what to do before the bank starts calling. Ethan looked at me with cold eyes. You've always been jealous of how close Mom and I were. Now she's barely in the ground, and you're pulling out these things to get back at her. At us? Leakit, I brought the entire metal box home and set it on that same oak dining table. Ethan and Sophia were already there, arguing over which of Mom's sweaters to keep. I didn't say anything, just opened the lid and took out a single sheet of cream paper tucked between folders. Mom's unmistakable handwriting. Sit down, I said quietly. There's something else. They exchanged glances but pulled out chairs. I smoothed the letter flat and began reading aloud. To my children, especially Harper. If you're reading this, I'm gone and you've seen what I tried to hide. When your father died 13 years ago, he left more than grief. He'd borrowed against the house chasing stock tips. By the time hospital bills came, we were underwater. I refinanced once to pay them, then again to keep lights on, then again when the market collapsed. Every Thursday for 20 years, I drove downtown to meet advisors, brokers, anyone who promised a way out. I thought one good return would fix everything before you knew. I was wrong. The hole only grew. I'm sorry, Harper. I put your name on the box because you're the strongest. You always were, even when you felt like the odd one out. Please forgive me. And please protect Ethan from the worst of it. He's sensitive. He won't survive knowing his mother failed completely. He still sees me as the person who held everything together. Let him keep that. I love you all more than you'll ever know. Mom. My voice cracked on the last line. The kitchen went dead silent except for the clock ticking. Sophia's hand flew to her mouth. Tears spilled instantly. Ethan sat frozen, jaw tight, eyes locked on the paper. Then he shook his head hard. That's not real, he said, voice low and dangerous. Mom wouldn't write that. Someone forged it. Ethan, it's her handwriting, I answered. You know it is. He shoved his chair back so hard it scraped the floor. You printed this yourself. You've hated how close Mom and I were your whole life. This is just another way to make her look bad. Sophia spoke through sobs. Stop it, both of you. She was trying to protect us? Protect us? I repeated, anger rising. By lying for 20 years? By putting our childhood home at risk? Sophia wiped her face. She thought she could fix it. That's what mothers do. They carry everything so we don't have to. Ethan pointed at the letter still in my hand. If she wanted to protect us, why single me out? Why say I'm too weak? That's not Mom. That's you putting words in her mouth. I felt the accusation like a punch. She wrote it, Ethan. Not me. He laughed, bitter and sharp. Right. Because mom spent years telling me I was the one she counted on most. And now suddenly I'm the fragile one. Sophia reached across and touched his arm. She was scared, Ethan. That's all. She didn't mean it like that. But Ethan wasn't listening. He stood up, towering over us. You've always resented that mom and I had something special. When you moved away after college, when you married Derek and barely visited, she leaned on me. And now you come back with this box full of shame and expect us to believe mom thought I couldn't handle it. His voice kept climbing. You're twisting everything. This letter, if it's even real, is just her being tired and sick. You're turning it into an attack. I tried to keep my voice level. I'm not attacking anyone. I'm reading what she wrote. Sophia's crying turned to quiet hiccups. Maybe we should put this away. Mom wouldn't want us fighting. Ethan snorted. No, Sophia. Harper wants a fight. She wants to be right. She always has. That's not fair, I said, my own voice shaking. I'm the one who opened the box. I'm the one who has to figure out what happens when the bank demands payment. Sophia reached for the letter, fingers trembling. She says she loves us. That's what matters. Ethan crossed his arms. Exactly. And love doesn't write notes calling your own son too weak. I felt the room spin. She was trying to shield you from knowing she made mistakes. He snapped. We're not children anymore. Sophia looked at me, pleading. Even if mom messed up, she did it for us. She didn't want us to hate her. Can't we just accept that? I stared at both of them. My little brother who used to follow me everywhere. My little sister who once copied everything I did. We weren't looking at the same letter at all. Ethan texted me Saturday morning. Family meeting tonight, 7 p.m. sharp. Be there, no please, no explanation, an order. I pulled into the driveway just as the sun dipped behind the mountains. Sophia's SUV sat next to Ethan's truck. I walked inside. The living room smelled faintly of mom's lavender candles. Sympathy flowers cleared away, replaced by framed photos of her with Ethan at graduation, with Sophia at her wedding, none with me. Ethan stood by the fireplace, arms crossed. Sophia sat on the couch clutching a pillow. Close the door? Ethan said. I did. He didn't waste time. We've talked. Sophia and I agree. Mom's will is simple. Everything goes equally to the three of us. We're not changing that. We're also not letting you drag mom's name through whatever story you're building. I opened my mouth, but he kept going. She's gone. She doesn't get to defend herself. So this ends tonight. Sophia spoke, voice soft but steady. You left, Harper. You moved away, married Derek, started your own life. Ethan and I were here every weekend, fixing things, taking mom to appointments. We earned the right to decide how her memory is handled. I felt my chest tighten. This isn't about who did more chores. This is about hundreds of thousands in debt. Ethan stepped forward. According to who? You. The sister who shows up with a box nobody else saw. Mom trusted me with everything. She never mentioned money problems. Because she was protecting you, I said, echoing the letter. Exactly like she wrote. Sophia shook her head. Or maybe she knew you'd turn it into a weapon. Ethan picked up a manila envelope from the coffee table and slid it toward me. Mom's last will. Simple. 2 pages. Notarized 6 months ago. House and remaining assets divided equally. No mention of debt. This is what matters, he said. Not whatever story you cooked up. I didn't cook anything up, I answered. The bank records are real. You can hate me, but ignoring this won't make it disappear. Sophia's eyes filled again. You always had to be the loud one. The one who questioned everything. Mom used to say you made things harder than they needed to be. The words stung more than I expected. I'm trying to keep us from losing the house, I said. Ethan laughed, cold and short. The house you barely visited for the last decade. Spare us the hero act. I looked around the room. The couch where Mom fell asleep watching game shows. The wall where our heights were marked every birthday until I stopped coming home. What do you want from me? I asked quietly. Ethan didn't hesitate. Leave the copies here. Delete the photos. Stop talking to lawyers. We handle this quietly. The way Mom would have wanted. Or you walk away now and we handle it without you. Sophia added, almost pleading. We just want to grieve in peace. I stared at them, realized they'd already chosen sides, and I wasn't on it. You're asking me to pretend none of this exists, I said. Ethan met my eyes without blinking. I'm asking you to respect our mother, The silence stretched thick and painful. I reached into my bag, pulled out the flash drive with every scanned document, and set it on the table. Then I took my phone, opened the photo gallery, and deleted the albums one by one in front of them. The soft clicks sounded louder than gunfire. There, I said. Happy. Sophia looked relieved. Ethan didn't. That's a start, he replied. Now go home, Harper. Don't come back until you're ready to act like family again. I walked to the hallway and picked up the small box I'd brought. A few childhood books. The framed photo of the four of us at Red Rocks when I was 16. Nothing else felt mine anymore. At the door, I turned. If the bank calls, don't say I didn't warn you. Ethan stood up, walked over, and opened the door himself. Cold night air rushed in. If you keep speaking ill of Mom, he said, voice low and hard, then don't ever set foot in this house again. We don't need a sister like you. The door closed with a final soft click. I stood on the porch for a long time, keys digging into my palm, before I walked to my car and drove away into the dark. I found Rebecca Torres's office on Cascade Avenue, a narrow brick building squeezed between a coffee shop and a bookstore downtown. Her website said she specialized in estate disputes and identity fraud. I booked the first slot available. Rebecca was younger than expected, maybe early 40s, sharp eyes behind thin framed glasses. She listened without interrupting while I spread every document across her conference table. When I finished, she leaned back and exhaled. This is textbook parental financial abuse, she said flatly. State law treats identity theft the same whether it's a stranger or a parent. If we can prove these signatures happened without your knowledge or Sophia's, the debts can be discharged as fraud. She started digging deeper that week. Requested full credit files under both our social security numbers. 10 days later, she called me back in. There's more, she said, sliding a thick printout across the desk. Your mother opened 11 credit cards in Sophia's name starting 9 years ago. Total exposure 46,200. Store cards, gas cards, regular credit cards. Minimum payments came from the joint checking until it ran dry. Collection agencies are already calling Sophia's cell. I stared at the list. Department stores, gas cards, a jewelry account with $9,500 balance, all Sophia's name, all her social security number. Rebecca continued. Under federal law and state statute, Sophia can file an FTC affidavit and police report to have these removed. Same for the student loan refinance your mother took in your name when you were 18. That evening, Sophia showed up at my apartment unannounced. She stood in the hallway clutching her phone, eyes red and swollen. The bank won't stop calling, she whispered. They say I owe $46,000. Harper, I've never applied for half these cards. What is this? I let her in, sat her on the couch, and explained everything Rebecca found. For the first time since the funeral, Sophia listened without defending Mom. She cried quietly while I showed her statements. I can help you file fraud claims, I said. Rebecca has the forms ready. We do it together. Get this off your credit. Stop the collectors. She nodded, wiping her face. Okay. I'll come to the office tomorrow. I felt relief for the first time in weeks. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, Ethan's name, and answered on speaker without thinking. Sophia told him everything in a shaky voice. I heard Ethan's reply loud and clear. She's lying to you, Soph. This is exactly what she wants. To scare you into helping her take the house. Mom would never do that to you. Think about it. Harper's the only one who benefits if we fight each other. Sophia's eyes flicked to me, uncertainty creeping back. Ethan, these are real statements, she said. Forged, he shot back. Or taken out of context. You know how Harper's always hated that Mom and I were close. She's doing this to punish us. The call lasted maybe 3 minutes. When Sophia hung up, the fear in her eyes had turned cold. You planned this? She accused. You waited until they started calling, then offered to save me so I'd be on your side against Ethan. That's not what happened, I said, struggling to keep my voice even. These debts are real. They'll ruin your credit if we don't act. She stood up, grabbing her purse. Ethan says we should get our own lawyer. Someone who isn't trying to steal what Mom left us. Sophia, please. She cut me off, already at the door. You wanted me to see how bad Mom was. Congratulations. Now I see how far you'll go to win. The door slammed. I stood in the empty living room. The stack of fraud forms still on the coffee table. Next morning, I went back to Rebecca alone. File everything, I told her. Identity theft claims for both me and Sophia, even if she won't sign. Petition probate court to declare fraudulent debts non-estate obligations. Ask for a hearing before foreclosure starts. I'm done waiting. Rebecca nodded, already pulling up forms. It'll force everyone into the open. Ethan and Sophia will have to respond or default. You sure? I thought of the house I grew up in, of Mom's handwriting begging me to protect Ethan, of Sophia's face twisting from terror to hatred in one phone call. I'm sure, I said. She started typing that afternoon. Few later that night, Sophia's phone rang in her own apartment as another collector left a voicemail about a past due jewelry account. She sat on her kitchen floor, phone in hand, pale as paper. Watched the screen light up again and again. She stared at Ethan's last text, "Don't trust her. We'll fix this together." Then she looked at the caller ID. Another unknown number. Another debt collector. For the first time, doubt flickered across her face. But she didn't call me back. Instead, she forwarded the voicemail to Ethan and typed, "What do we do now?" What? The county combined courts building sits on Vermijo Avenue, less than 10 minutes from my apartment. I arrived early, dressed in the only navy suit I still owned from corporate days. Rebecca met me in the lobby carrying a thick binder and a calm smile that did nothing to quiet my stomach. Inside courtroom 5, the air smelled of old wood and tension. Ethan and Sophia sat at the opposite table with their attorney, a gray-haired man in an expensive suit, who kept whispering to Ethan. They never once looked my way. The judge, Honorable Patricia Lawson, entered and called the case. In re estate of Diana Monroe, probate number 24, PR 304-8. Rebecca began with a clear summary. Petition to declare certain debts fraudulent under state statute. Exclude them from estate liability. Request supervised administration due to conflicting claims. Their lawyer countered immediately. All debts were legitimate obligations. Mom simply managed finances privately. I was an estranged daughter using the court to punish siblings who'd remained close. Then witnesses started. Ethan took the stand first. Dark suit. Tay perfectly nodded. Under oath, he painted a picture I barely recognized. Harper moved away right after college, he said evenly. She rarely visited. After her divorce 4 years ago, she became increasingly bitter, unstable, multiple jobs lost, isolated from family. These accusations only started after Mom died and she realized there might not be as much money as she hoped. She's trying to destroy our mother's reputation to control the house. Rebecca Cross examined gently but surgically, showed him credit card applications in Sophia's name bearing Mom's handwriting. The student loan refinance in my name from when I was 18. Ethan dismissed them as mistakes. Protective measures Mom took for us. Sophia followed. She looked smaller than I remembered, clutching a tissue. She testified Mom had always been generous. Any secret accounts were probably meant as surprises. I was angry at the world since my marriage ended. When Rebecca asked if she'd ever applied for the 11 credit cards totaling nearly 50,000, Sophia shook her head, tears falling. "I never saw those," she whispered. "But Mom wouldn't hurt me on purpose." Their attorney leaned heavily on presumptions that debts incurred during life benefit the family. Argued house refinances paid household bills and medical expenses after Dad died. Rebecca countered with forensic accounting reports. Handwriting analysis confirming Mom's signatures on fraudulent applications. Bank records showing proceeds funneled into personal brokerage accounts, not household use. She entered Mom's letter into evidence, not for its truth about Ethan's sensitivity, but as proof Mom knowingly concealed activity. I never took the stand. Rebecca said my presence was enough. Anything I said would only give them more to twist. My siblings never looked at me. I sat behind Rebecca, hands folded, feeling the distance between us grow into miles. Closing arguments were brief. Their lawyer asked the judge to uphold the will as written and dismiss my vindictive claims. Rebecca asked for simple justice. Relieve innocent children from debts they never agreed to and never benefited from. Judge Lawson took the bench after a short recess. She adjusted her glasses and spoke in a measured tone. Having reviewed exhibits, testimony, and applicable law, this court finds clear and convincing evidence of identity theft regarding credit accounts opened in the names of Harper Monroe and Sophia Monroe without their knowledge or consent. Those obligations are declared fraudulent and non-estate debts. Petitioners Harper and Sophia Monroe are relieved of personal liability. She paused. Ethan shifted in his seat. Sophia gripped the table edge. However, the judge continued. The three home equity lines were executed solely by the decedent Diana Monroe during her lifetime. While the court sympathizes, state law holds that validly executed liens against real property survive the borrower's death and must be satisfied from the estate. Accordingly, the residence at 1842 Oakmont Drive shall be sold at public auction under supervised administration. Proceeds to satisfy valid secured debts first, with remainder divided per the decedent's will. The gavel came down once, sharp, final. Rebecca turned and gave me the smallest nod. Victory on the fraud. But the house, our house, was gone. People started gathering files. Ethan stood, smoothed his jacket, and walked past my table without stopping. As he passed behind me, he leaned in just enough for his whisper to reach only my ears. No matter what that judge says, Mom was still the best mother in the world, and you will never understand that. He kept walking. Sophia followed, eyes fixed on the floor, never glancing back. I sat there long after the courtroom emptied, staring at the spot where they'd been, feeling the final thread between us snap for good. The brick house sold at auction faster than anyone expected. A young couple from Boulder snapped it up for just over the outstanding loan balance, excited about the quiet street and mountain views from the back deck. I signed closing papers in Rebecca's office on a gray morning, pens scratching across line after line until the deed no longer carried the Monroe name. My share after valid liens were paid and probate fees deducted came to $21,000, enough to clear remaining penalties on fraudulent accounts and put a cushion in a new checking account. Nothing more. I found a one-bedroom apartment in Northgate near the academy, windows facing the foothills. The moving truck held exactly 11 boxes, books, clothes, a few dishes, the childhood photo I'd rescued the night Ethan shut the door on me. Everything else. Furniture Mom picked, holiday decorations we hung together, went with the house or into Ethan and Sophia's storage. First night in the new place, I sat on the floor eating takeout and listened to unfamiliar quiet. No creaking stairs. No television from Mom's old room. No Ethan laughing at some show. Just the hum of the refrigerator and distant highway noise. They never reached out. Not a text, not an email, not even a forwarded bill. I heard through a mutual friend that Ethan and Sophia held a small memorial gathering on the first anniversary of Mom's death. Catered sandwiches in the backyard of the house they no longer owned. Toasts to the mother they insisted only ever tried to protect them. My name came up once, briefly. Then never again. Second year passed the same. I saw Sophia once at Garden of the Gods, pushing a stroller with her toddler. Our eyes met across the parking lot. She turned away quickly, gripped the handle tighter, and walked faster toward the Red Rock formations. I stood by my car until she disappeared around the bend. Ethan changed jobs, moved to a new firm downtown. His social media glowed with promotions and team photos. Sophia posted family pictures, birthdays, vacations, always smiling. Always just the two of them with their growing families. If they ever spoke of me, no one told me. I paid bills on time, rebuilt my credit line by line, took a part-time job at the library on Academy Boulevard. The apartment filled slowly. Second-hand couch, small table, plants on the windowsill that actually survived. I learned new neighbors' names, joined a hiking group on Saturday mornings. Let the silence become something I chose instead of something forced upon me. One afternoon, 3 years after the gavel fell, the mail carrier left a single envelope, no return address. Just my name in Sophia's careful handwriting. I carried it inside and opened it with a butter knife. A plain white card, one sentence in black ink. Don't ever contact us again. To us you ceased to exist the day Mom left. Nothing else. No signature. No explanation. I set the card on the counter and stared at it for a long time. Then I opened a drawer, slipped it between utility bills and takeout menace, and closed the drawer. That night I cooked dinner for one. Poured a glass of wine. Raised it to the empty chair across the table. To final answers, I said out loud. The years kept turning. Ethan and Sophia built lives that looked perfect from the outside. I built one that was quiet, honest, and entirely mine. And not one of us ever looked back. 3 years after the gavel fell, on a quiet Thursday afternoon, I found myself driving south on Nevada Avenue without planning it. The old First National branch appeared on my right, exactly where it had always been. I pulled into the parking lot, turned off the engine, and sat for a moment watching customers come and go. Something pulled me inside. The lobby looked smaller than I remembered. A young teller greeted me with the standard smile. I asked to open a new savings account, high yield, individual ownership only, no joint holders, no beneficiaries, no authorized users. She walked me through forms, asked for 2 IDs, typed everything into the system. 10 minutes later, she slid a crisp folder across the counter. New account number, new debit card, new beginning. I signed Harper Monroe in bold, steady letters. When she asked if I wanted to make an initial deposit, I transferred at her 24,000 from the account I'd quietly built since probate cleared. Money earned from the library job, from freelance editing gigs, from every overtime hour I could pick up. Money that belonged to no one but me. The teller handed me the receipt. Anything else I can help with today, Miss Monroe? That's all, I said. Thank you. I walked out into late afternoon sun, feeling lighter than I had in years. On the drive north, I took the long way past the exit for Oakmont Drive where the brick house used to stand. A new family lived there now. I'd seen their Christmas lights last December. I didn't slow down. At home, I poured a glass of water, no wine tonight, and stood at the window watching the sun sink behind the front range. The apartment was small, but every inch was mine. Bookshelves I built myself. Plants that thrived because no one else decided when they got watered. A calendar with only my plans on it. I thought about the envelope that started everything, the key, the letter, the courtroom, the slammed doors, the single hateful card from Sophia. I thought about Mom's Thursday disappearances and how they shaped a lifetime of secrets. And for the first time, none of it hurt. Cutting them out wasn't punishment. It was surgery. Clean, necessary, and final. Blood doesn't always mean family. And love isn't a contract forcing you to swallow poison forever. I set boundaries not because I stopped loving them, but because I finally started loving myself more. If you're watching this and recognize the pattern, if someone in your life disappears every week to handle things, if accounts show up in your name you never opened, if speaking truth gets you called selfish or unstable, listen carefully. Trust the documents, not the stories people tell to keep you quiet. Ask for statements. Pull your own credit report. Talk to a lawyer before you're left holding wreckage. Family is supposed to protect you, not bankrupt you and blame you for noticing. Some ties are chains disguised as love. Cutting them doesn't make you the villain. It makes you free. I finished the water, rinsed the glass, and placed it in the drying rack. Outside, the Thursday sky turned deep orange over the mountains. I smiled, locked the door behind me, and stepped into the evening. No longer waiting for anyone to come home, because the only future I'm securing now is mine.